Hey, 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 what's good, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. My name is Shella, or you can call me your lawyer bestie. And I'm an admitted attorney of the High Court of South Africa who is super passionate about non-traditional legal careers. The reason for that is that I went into practice thinking that it's the only thing that I could do with my LLB degree, and I was so wrong. And my guest today, Maphoko, is testament of that fact. She has never set foot in practice, but she is a lecturer. In this episode, she shares her incredible journey from being a student to assistant lecturer as well as a lecturer. So for those of you who want to be in academia or are considering that space, this conversation is definitely for you. If you enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Drop down to the comment section and leave a comment or a question for Maphoko or myself, and we will get back to you. And subscribe to the channel so the family can grow. And don't forget to share this episode with someone who you know could use this information. Now, without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Lerato, thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I'm so excited for this conversation because I know that my viewers are going to learn a lot from you. So please just start by introducing yourself to my subscribers.
Thank you for having me. So I'm Maphoko Lerato, born and bred in a small Limpopo town, Kejwale Palale. And I was raised with my parents. I've got three other siblings. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. I moved from Limpopo to the Free State in 2018 when I started my LLB. And I stayed in Bloemfontein for like 6 years. Then I moved to Cape Town for a very short period, and then I realized the mother city is not for me at all, and I needed to leave because I'm not a city girl at all. And now I'm back to the rivers and the lakes that I'm used to.
Speaking of the mother city, like I just moved here, and yeah, it is quite a change. And I can imagine, coming from the rivers and the lakes and the mountains and the nature. I mean, you get that here, but like more, it's a city life. Cape Town, city life, so I get that. So please just let us know what it is that you do.
All right, so I am a lecturer and I'm also involved in research. So when I started my career, I think I really started working towards what I wanted to build myself as in my final year. So I think this is what happens in a lot of universities across the country. Students in their final years prepare research reports. So, now I'm busy with my research proposal and I'm like, okay, this research thing, I like this. I like this reading, thinking, analyzing, criticizing. I like this.
Mm.
And so then fine, I submit my research proposal and that goes well. And then I'll start working on my substantive chapters. And I'm like, excuse me, I see myself doing this. So at the time, I thought, you know what, I just want to go into a purely research role. I thought, okay, I'm just going to do research for the rest of my life. But as time went on, I really started leaning a little bit more towards academia as well. Because at the time, um, academia as in teaching and learning. Because at the time, I was also a tutor. So that thing of standing in front of students and explaining something and preparing like small lesson plans, I was like, oh my word, I love this. I was always so excited
Mm.
for my tutorials. I had like tutorials twice a week. Bona,
Mm-hmm.
when I know Wednesday, 12 o'clock, I have my criminal law students, I would get so excited. And I realized then also what I don't like working remotely. When I had to present online tutorials, it drained me so much. I like seeing people's faces. I like being one with students. I love the classroom
Mm.
space. I cannot explain it. I love it. And then I was like, okay, I kind of see where this is going. Then I now had to start thinking very seriously because final year is drawing to an end. I need to start thinking about what life post LLB was going to look like. I was very stressed. I don't want to lie. I remember the
Mm.
conversation with my mom, and I was just like, Mama, but via the big five law firms, banyana baya CDH, banyana baya Weber Wenzel,
Hey.
hey, banyana baya Symington, what am I
Mm.
going to do? And then mama just asked me, Lerato, wena unyaka eng, o rata eng?
Mm.
Kariwa mama, I think I want to be a lecturer. Mama, okay, so how are you going to go about that? I was like, I want to do my master's. And then my mom was just like, sharp, do that. I was obviously worried about funding it and everything, but my mom was literally just like, my girl, if you say you want it, then I'm going to make sure that you get it. So if you say you want to do your master's, then that's what we're doing next year. So then I applied for my master's, and then I also had to make the choice between, do I want to do my master's coursework or do I want to do a full dissertation? I thought about it and I was like, okay, fine. The human rights coursework is 2 years, as opposed to master's degrees in other fields of specialization, which would typically be like a year or so. And then I had to make the decision, Yawore, am I in a rush to get somewhere? Because I know some people feel like, yo, I don't have the 2 years to waste still being a student. I need to
Yes.
get something
Yes.
going and all of that. But I told myself, I
Mm.
am literally rushing nowhere. I'm still very young. I have all the time in the world to sort myself out. So I
Yeah.
decided, you know what? Yeah. Coursework, Masters Human Rights. It's gonna be 2 years, and I'm okay with that. Now,
Yes.
when you make decisions, Ranch, you are not short-sighted, but you sometimes maybe struggle to see past your own nose in some of the decisions that you make. When I made the decision, yeah, what okay, I'm going to do my masters. What the societal pressures at the time would feel like. Because now, the people that I graduated with, they've started their cute corporate jobs. Banyana baraga, dikoloi, banyana are moving into nice apartments.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still staying at res. You get what I'm saying? I'm
Uh,
like, yo,
yeah.
my word. What have I done? I'm delaying.
Mm.
You start thinking, what I'm delaying myself. You're like, oh my gosh. I'm chasing 22, 23. I share a bathroom with like 50
With
other
18-year-olds.
Exactly. And then you see all these people who are like now properly adulting. And we're like, oh my gosh, graduated Lily. Now what is happening?
Yeah, why am I not there? Yeah.
Why am I not there? So women about societal pressures is also something that we must sort of factor into the decisions that we make. To know what, okay, I'm making this decision. It might not bode so well with everyone else, and it might not look as glamorous
Facts.
when
Mm-hmm.
compared to the decisions that other people are making. But if it is
True.
well with your soul, or this is the route that I'm taking and this is what I want to do with my life, then you owe it to yourself to stick to your guns.
Fact. Fact. And I love the fact that you touched on so many points. The first one being everybody that now making some form of progress. And
Yeah.
the truth is that when you're studying your LLB degree, in your third year and your final year, progress and success is articles and pupillage. That's literally success because all of us think that's the way to go. When you look at your career fairs in university, it's law firms who are coming to speak to you. You are speaking to advocates. So you already, it's like you're groomed for practice. So already when you get your LLB degree, you think that success is that route. So everybody else is going that route, and succeeding at that route. It seems like, they've got life figured out. And here you are, you're still in res, you are still at it, you are still studying, and it just feels like you're low-key moving in circles. And before I move on to the next question, I just want you to briefly explain the difference between the two master's degrees for somebody who does not even know that there's a distinction in a master's degree. Please just touch on the differences.
All right. So my master's degree, like I said, was coursework. So what happens with coursework is that you have modules, you have core modules that you have to do, and then you also have to complete a mini dissertation, as opposed to your full dissertation masters, where it is just the dissertation, but it is bigger, and you are also expected to produce more volume in terms of the dissertation that you submit. So, with the Masters in Human Rights Law that I did at the University of the Free State, I had four modules, and you do your modules in the first year. It's a continuous, it's all the modules are continuous assessment, so there are no exams, but you are constantly submitting assignments. Like every single week, there is a deadline. So the research is hectic. It is intense in that regard. Then in the second year of my masters was when I was busy with my mini dissertation. And if I remember correctly, the length of the mini dissertation is like 30,000 words roundabout, as opposed to the full dissertation, where your dissertation would be somewhere like 50 to 60,000 words, if I'm not mistaken. So that is the difference. I think when you make the decision, you just need to think, when your research idea, is it an idea that is big enough to satisfy the volume of work that is expected from you in a full dissertation? And
Mm.
if you can see, okay, fine, I have a research idea, it is not as refined or it is not as big, then the coursework masters might be a better fit for you, because then you are not you won't have the pressure of going into a lot of detail or elaborating your idea as much as you would have to with the full dissertation. And another benefit that I cannot state this enough, one thing that I really think worked for me with regards to choosing the coursework masters, is that the modules that I did went such a long way in helping me refine my research idea for my mini thesis. So I remember
Okay.
one of the
Yeah.
modules that I did was human rights and education. I loved that module so much. Oh my word. Human rights. I think education has just always been something that I'm super, super excited about. So I'm doing human rights and education. It's broadly really around the right to education and all the nuances around what sort of catalyzes the promotion and protection of that right in primary schools and high schools. So then, one of the assignments that I had to submit was a topic on pregnancy, learner pregnancy, and pregnancy policies. And I enjoyed that assignment so much. Also, because I feel like it was relatable in a lot of ways. I mean, I went to high school and I saw in my class, I had classmates who fell pregnant. I knew people in my
Yes.
neighborhood, my church, and so forth. Young girls who couldn't finish school because they fell pregnant and stuff like that. Then the idea started implanting in my head, and then that's how I got to deciding on my topic for my thesis, to sort of revolve around childhood pregnancy in black communities. So when you make the choice or when you are doing your coursework, do not just do the modules for the sake of doing them. If you really put in the effort, there's a lot that you can get out of that as well, because literally your research
Mm.
idea can come from that.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And it seems like you liked what you're doing. And I think that's something that people don't consider when it comes to careers. Most times would say things like, yeah, well, I like what I'm doing, but people are just applying everywhere because people don't have jobs and people end up in spaces that they don't really like. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are just performing badly at work. They're just not liking this. So liking what you were doing in the first year of your masters definitely helped when it came to the later half of your work, having to do your dissertation. Now, with the dissertation, right? You say that the full dissertation is like about 60,000 words, and then the coursework is about 30. So, with the full dissertation, does it take 1 year or 2 years, or are those years optional when it comes to completing your master's degree?
That depends on the candidate themselves. I mean, when I did my
Mm-hmm.
master's, I wasn't working. It was just me and, my research. But for people who do their masters, maybe once they've already got a job, it might be very difficult to complete the entire thesis in 1 year. So
Mm.
I think that's another thing that people really shouldn't put too much pressure on themselves, Gayona, because if you have a job, you are up by 6 o'clock. 8 o'clock, you are clocking in at work. You're only knocking off at 4 o'clock. When you come back from work, you're tired. You understand? It would be reasonable if it took you 2 years to complete. So that might also depend on a person's personal circumstances.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and also
So
we
you
don't
took
have the
us.
same
Yeah.
responsibilities. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say we don't have the same responsibilities. I remember in my class, the people
Yes.
that I started with, I think I was one of the few people who didn't have a family, didn't have children, didn't have a job or anything like that. I remember one of my classmates, she had 3 children, and she shared to us in one of the block sessions that we had that 2 of her children are hard of hearing, so they require extra attention, and she has to be very hands-on with them and everything. And it really made me realize that you know we are really not we don't have the same responsibilities, we don't have the same circumstances as well. So putting pressure on yourself based on how fast someone else is progressing is really just shooting yourself in the foot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True. Comparison is definitely the thief of all joy. You're looking at somebody else's life and you're thinking, this is how my life is supposed to turn out. And that is far from the truth. If you don't walk your own path, you're doing an injustice to yourself, honestly. So I want to touch on, now that you're a lecturer, let's talk about like first year, second year, and potentially third year of your LLB degree. When we were all just thinking that admission is the way to go. Did you ever think before doing, the mini dissertation, before doing that research that we do in our final year of LLB, at that point, did you know that you could make a career out of anything else outside of admission?
To be honest with you, no. Because
Okay.
it's almost as if once you register for your LLB, you are um you are sort of introduced into this cult where it's like admission, 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 admission. Even the lecturer, I promise you, even the lecturers themselves, ne, they would never
Mm-hmm.
talk about their own profession. They would keep talking
No.
about, oh no, we're doing this so that when you get into practice, we're doing this so that
Yes.
how we're doing this so that when you get into court, hey banna, is
Hey.
there nothing else outside of court?
Yeah.
What's banna? I knew from my first year, gore, nto ya court, I got some better girl. Yeah, I knew from there. I knew from then, and I always felt so judged when I expressed this. I would get side eyes.
Yes.
Ori, what do you mean? But then what are you doing in this class? If you are saying
Mm.
Ori, when a practice is not for you.
You don't want to be in
I would
court,
always get
yes.
side eyed. But I knew I didn't want practice. Nothing about it seemed enticing. Nothing about practice oriented modules like your legal practice, your criminal law, your civil procedure, criminal procedure. I mean, I just was not feeling it. I think
Mm-hmm.
I did well in school, lechale, because I like to believe that I'm naturally smart. So I would get distinctions, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, um, I don't see myself in this thing for the rest of my
Yeah.
life. So very early
Did
on,
you?
sorry, yes.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to say, did you ever feel like you're in the wrong, like you chose the wrong degree? Because you didn't see yourself in practice, but we were groomed to see practice. So if you didn't see yourself there, did you feel like you were in the wrong degree?
No, I never did.
Okay.
I I still maintain to this day that I am exactly where God placed me.
Come
I
on.
just want to go back a little bit to my high school. Ne? When I was in high school,
Yeah.
grade 11, ne?
Mm-hmm.
To universities. I
Yeah.
want to tell you, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I applied for psychology, physiotherapy. medicine, dentistry, engineering, law. What else did I apply for? Unibona.
Everything.
Because I just knew what a no man. I want to be a career girly, but I don't know what I want actually. I had no idea what I wanted. Can I apply? Can I apply? Can I apply? And I've always been an A student, so I had very good metric results. But let me tell you, I was rejected for everything except for law.
What? No way.
Swear. I was
Wow.
rejected for everything that I had applied for except for law. And it just so happened that I was accepted for law, COVID, Liko UFS, Liko UCT. But every other university that I applied for all of these other things, straight up rejection. So the only choice that I had to make at that time was, okay, which university am I going to go to? You know, UCT was
Mm-hmm.
out because my mom was like, Cape Town, if anything happens to you, how am I going to get there? She was like,
How are we
Cape
gonna
Town,
reach you?
I need somewhere.
Yes.
I need somewhere where I can drive to. And
Oh,
Vets
so I
was
can
not
come, yeah.
familiar with. Vets you nakara, I give Vets. Joburg. I'm not a Joburg girly, but I was not. Joburg was never ever going to happen. So then Yabailur, okay, process of elimination leaves me with
Yeah.
UFS. No.
UFS.
So I've never felt like it was the wrong choice. From my first
Yeah.
class, I knew, okay, this is for me. The doubt or the question was really about what would happen after the degree, but it wasn't about the degree
Okay.
itself.
Okay. So now that you work as a lecturer, do you feel like you not being admitted is a disadvantage? Because I remember back when I was a student, our lecturers will always say, oh, I remember in practice when I was a prosecutor, we used to do this section, this and this like that. This is how you apply for bail. Even in practice, I know because I did, they will always give out like personal experiences. The people that, the people who taught us family law will always say, oh, I was handling this divorce, and it so happened that they would always give examples relating to what they did in practice. So as a lecturer, would you say that not having experience in practice is something that's a disadvantage?
No, I don't feel it at all. I don't feel out of place. I don't feel like it's something that I'm missing. I don't think it's something that I'm lacking. Um, maybe it might have looked a little nicer on paper to have after my name in the faculty rule book, or okay, admitted attorney or whatever. But not
Mm-hmm.
personally, I wouldn't make it one.
Okay. Okay, no.
But also, I think it's because I work in an academic space. I think it might have been a bit different if I worked in corporate. Let's say I was legal counsel for some company, or some corporation. Maybe then I might have felt a bit out of place as someone who isn't admitted. But in an academic space, what really matters is a person's academic prowess. So I definitely don't miss it.
Okay. Okay, no, I totally understand. So let's talk to the graduates or the soon to graduate people who are like, okay, I want to be a lecturer, I want to get into this space. What additional qualifications do you think they need to go for?
Sorry, could you please repeat that? I don't know what's happening with the network. There was just a bit of a glitch.
Oh, okay. I'm saying in terms of additional qualifications, additional certifications, what can somebody who has just an LLB degree do to get into academia? Are there certain, skills you think they can be acquiring, at the present moment? What can they do to sort of like make their application stand out? Additional certifications as well as some skills that they can start developing.
All right, so definitely post LLB, masters has to be top of your priority list. You cannot get by in this profession, you cannot get by in this world without postgrad qualifications. Masters has got to be your first stop. And whether you decide to do full dissertation or coursework, that is completely up to you. But at the end of the day, that is a very, very important entry into the profession, because it also goes with how can I say it, the levels in the profession. So you have lecturers, you have senior lecturers, you have associate professors, and so forth. To be a lecturer, baseline, like at literally the bottom of the food chain, you need that
Yeah.
master's. And the only way that you can qualify for senior lecturer is if you have a doctorate and obviously
Oh, wow.
publications and stuff like that. But the doctorate is incredibly important if you are going to move up in the profession. But a first step, at least, have a master's. Many universities are moving towards a more research-led type of vibe, Something that's becoming very important amongst universities is this thing of ranking. Every university wants to be ranked. And
Act-
something
Actually, how are universities ranked? Are they ranked according to the staff who work there, like the lecturers, or like how does that happen? Actually, please just touch on that as you explain your answer.
Okay, no, so the ranking is also affected by your staff cohort. Um, your ranking will decrease slightly if you have a majority staff that don't have doctorates, because then it means that you have a majority staff who are not specialists or experts in their specific fields. So then it
Oh,
begs the question, Yagore, if you say your university offers criminal law, but the person who teaches criminal law does not have a doctorate, that means that person is not an expert. And that means then that the standard of the content that is being taught at your specific university is not the same as the standard that is
is
being taught
low,
at your university.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Got
So the ranking,
you.
guys, vice chancellors want to be named amongst the top of the top.
Yes. Okay, I get it now.
Doctorate degrees are important, but there is obviously also sort of like a grace period that is allowed for new academics. There are really great programs out there. One of the programs that I'm aware of is the NGAP program. It is a government funded program that allows candidates who do not yet have doctorates to be employed as lecturers, right? For a period of 6 years. And in that 6 years, it is expected that you would finish your doctorate. So you have an employment opportunity, you also have a funding opportunity towards your doctorate, and then you are given a minimal workload. So in the first like 3 years, you only have a 20% workload to allow you to finish your doctorate. So this is just one of the things that universities are also, and the government is really trying to do, to upskill and to equip lecturers to be the very best that they can be. And so, okay, masters, top of the priority list. Once you've got your masters, then you can apply for War NGAP, and the money is actually really good. I don't want to lie. NGAP money is decent money. You can definitely make a living, and once you have your doctorate within that 6 years, then you can apply to any other university because now you actually meet the requirements. You understand? And then outside of your masters, another, I think, really popular qualification, or something that is becoming a bit popular, even I myself am considering it, is a postgraduate diploma in higher education. I think it goes a long way in exposing lecturers to teaching methods and, the nuances of teaching and learning. I'm definitely considering that myself as well. It is not necessary, but it is definitely a nice to have in terms of
Yes.
your skill as an academic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving away from the qualifications, um, something that looks very, very good on CVs is conference presentations. You need to be able to show that in addition to teaching and learning the business of the classroom, you are able to formulate and sort of conceptualize research ideas. You are able to contribute to knowledge production, because it is one thing to impart the knowledge, like, in a classroom where you are teaching uh, students about, I don't know, the definition of evidence or something like that. But we must also see that you are capable of contributing to that specific field of law where you say that you are an expert. So conference presentations, very, very important. Publications, incredibly important. You cannot move up in this profession, you cannot be promoted, and oftentimes you can't even be appointed without a publication. So that's one of the things that worked in my favor. I don't want to lie. I mean, I only have a master's, but because of the fact that I have a number of conference presentations under my belt and the fact that I have a publication, it sort of worked in my favor, you know, even in my interview as well. When they asked, oh, okay, what about research? We see that you have got some experience with, you know, the classroom, you were a tutor, you worked as an assistant lecturer, but what about research? Then I was able to say, no, I've got a publication with Africa Development. I have presented at numerous conferences locally and internationally. And then it's like, okay, there is hope. If I panel hope, yeah, okay, Moto, we can work with this person, like this potential.
Yeah.
We can go somewhere. We can go somewhere with this person. So that is also very important. And when you are a student, it might be difficult to attend conferences because conferences are expensive. I just want to put that
Mm-hmm.
out there. Conference registration. Ukreweya conference in registration is 6,000. That is excluding your transportation, your accommodation, this, that. Just the registration for your name to appear on the program is 6,000. That's going to be very difficult for students. But if you know that the conference is being hosted by your university, then you capitalize on that. You approach faculty staff, you approach HODs, you approach the dean, you approach the conference organizers, and you explain, oh, you know what, I'm a student, but I would like to get into this research and academia thing, and I would like to present at this particular conference. Can you please waiver my registration fee? That is how I started. My very first conference presentation I did first year of my masters. Obviously I didn't have the money, but I said to my supervisor, "Kina go present, mara akina machankura. What do we do?" And you know, she was like, "No, don't worry about it. We're gonna put you on the program as a student, and then the registration fee is going to be waived." So that's a good way to start as a student. And then another thing that I think goes a long way with regards to getting yourself out there with research and stuff like that, even while you're still a student, is competitions. There is the, I think it's a South African Law Reform Commission essay writing competition. It
Mm-hmm.
has a very nice prize money, number one. So the money must be an incentive. Number two, the exposure is amazing. The exposure is amazing. I didn't enter for it, but I have a friend of mine. We completed our masters right about the same time. She was at a different institution though. She was the winner for 2022 or 2023, if I'm not mistaken. And it is such great exposure. So research and writing competitions are an advantage. Another competition that I absolutely love is the 3-minute thesis competition. This is only open to masters and PhD candidates. So what happens is that you have 3 minutes to present your entire thesis, and then you can win great money as well. All right. I walked away with 13,000 after just 6 minutes of presenting. It's easy money. It's nice, easy, and the exposure is also phenomenal. It puts you out there. You also have an opportunity to, you know, put your research out there. People ask you questions. Now people also start knowing your name. Okay, her research was on childhood pregnancy. Oh, maybe I can actually call her up if I want to do a project in this. So some of these things also work well in terms of exposure. And the truth is that, guys, the world works on who you know. All right. If I see you now, okay, I'm at a conference. There's a lady, Baragi, Sheila. She presented on this, and then tomorrow I hear about an opportunity on some exchange program for up and coming academics who are Germany, and the theme is transformative constitutionalism, and I know that Sheila presented on transformative constitutionalism. I can hit her up and be like, what's like in when Germany can do so, would you be interested? So getting your name out there is also very important, and you need to start working early on. Networking, you cannot get by without networking.
True. You know what? You mentioned so many things that I think, you know, anybody who wants to be a lecturer should start looking into. So my next question is, what pages or platforms should people be following? What are your go-to pages when you, let's say, open your LinkedIn? What are some, like, who are you seeing? Which pages are you seeing? Because I want people who are listening to this to at least have like access to those pages so they can see when the competitions are up. I know that a person can't keep on going to the faculty every other day to ask what's next, what's going on. What are some of your go-to platforms or pages that you follow that offer things like these?
Okay, so I'm only on LinkedIn. I don't know what's happening on Instagram and stuff like that. But on LinkedIn, the South African Law Reform page, Law Reform Commission page, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where they would post about their own competition. And then the 3-minute thesis competition, you actually have to focus on your own university's page because the competitions are hosted by the universities individually and independently. So if you are a student at Rhodes, focus on the Rhodes page for when the next competition is. If you are at University of Pretoria, focus on that one, right? And other people that I follow other academics. I've been following other academics ever since this idea formulated in my mind. Bona lecturer, follow. Lecturer, follow. Lecturer, follow. Because then I get to see, okay, they will post or when I was at a conference. And then I start learning, okay, conferences are important. But what are conferences? What happens? Like, I
Mm.
didn't understand what happens at a conference. Udiagalang, wiralang.
Mm. What's so
Then
important about it? Yeah.
exactly. Then I start asking as well, like the lecturers at my university. Or, I saw last week you were abroad for a conference. What was happening? And then I got to understand, okay, so conferences are structured around specific themes. If the theme is law and democracy, then the speakers will like create presentations and center their research around that particular theme. And then everyone has like 10 to 15 minutes to present, and then there's also time for questions and answers. It's like, oh, okay, so you must basically know your story. Then what happens after the conference? I just go there and I speak. Like, is that really what you guys are doing? Then I learn, or no. After the conference, it is advisable and it is definitely advantageous as well that you develop that presentation into a publishable article. Then you are growing your
Oh.
profile as a researcher. Now, okay, fine. I go to the conference, I present, I develop it into a paper. What happens then? Now, let's say I have an article. I've got like 20 pages sitting in front of me. What do I do with it? What do I do with it then? Then you have to find a journal to submit your manuscript to. Next question is, where do I find these journals? And how do I
Yeah.
know that this is the right journal to submit to? Journals also sort of have themes. So if it is the African Journal of Legal Studies, you sort of get an idea that, okay, fine, this journal focuses on topics within the African continent. You can't be talking about tax law in Asia wanting to submit
Mm.
to
Mm-hmm.
a journal that literally says that it focuses on legal studies in Africa, right? And if a journal
Mm-hmm.
is, let's say, it literally says International Journal of Human Rights, then you know that if you're submitting to this journal, you must be writing on something that is human rights oriented.
Human rights,
So then
yes.
so then I started learning, okay, there are different journals for different types of work. Then I learned that these journals, not all journals are made equal. Some of them are accredited and some of them are not accredited.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So the accredited journals, you will find a list of them on the DHET website, Department of Higher Education and Training.
And
They have a
training, yeah.
list of journals that they have accredited. It is advisable that you submit to those journals because some of these journals that are not accredited are in fact predatory. These are the people who have got shenanigans going on, jiggy jiggy, they want you to pay money and stuff like that. Don't do that. But also, the disadvantage with submitting to a journal that is not accredited is that it will affect you in the long run. One day, when you have clocked 20 years in the field, now you want to apply to the NRF for an NRF rating. The National Research Fund looks at where you have been submitting your work. If you have been submitting to, are you still there? Okay, I lost you
Yes,
for
I
a
am.
second. The National Research Fund rates researchers. So the the the, the top dog, Kibodi A1, B1 rating, those are the people that we want to be. You understand? In order to get there, you will most likely have a majority of your work published in accredited journals, because then we know that your things are on the up and up.
Wow, you have said so much, and I feel like anyone who wants to be a lecturer, this is the conversation that they must be listening to. I mean, with the publications as well. I think it's great that you mentioned that don't just put out your work anywhere. Make sure that you are submitting to journals that are recognized. And I'm thinking maybe with journals who are not recognized, maybe jiggy jiggy as a lecturer you'll be marking someone's assignment and you're like, no man, this is my work that I did 2-3 years ago. Somebody's taking my work and submitting it. So just make sure when you publish your work, you do things the right way. And also, I'm from this conversation, I'm getting that connecting with people helps a lot in this space, because there are certain things that people know. As a lecturer, lecturers have walked individual journeys. So if you ask another lecturer, they probably won't give an answer that is identical to Lerato's answer. They might be throwing in journal names that she hasn't mentioned or conferences that she hasn't mentioned. So connecting with people in this field and asking questions and being like, how can I get into this? What else can I do? Now that I'm busy with my master's, what do you suggest I do? So I really love that you touched on all of that and so much more. Now, for the final question, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to get into this space? Like, what are some of the things that you want to say to them?
Um, I would say make sure that it's really what you want. There's nothing that I believe in Botswana passion, but more than that,
Mm-hmm.
purpose. Um, be aligned with what you were created to be. I have the benefit of having been raised by parents who are incredibly passionate about the work that they do. My mom is a teacher and my dad is a retired police officer. I cannot imagine my parents as anything else, because they are literally living in their God-given purpose. They are living in
Mm.
their respective callings. My mom wakes up every day and she's a teacher, plain and simple. My dad woke up every day and he was a cop, plain and simple. I'm also looking at myself right now and I wake up every day and I'm a lecturer, plain and simple. But that
Mm.
is
Oh,
because
nice. Yeah.
it is my purpose. It is my calling. This is actually what God has created me to be. That is why I don't think I'm missing out on anything else that there might be out there in the world. So the first thing that I think people must be honest with themselves about who they really are. Money is nice to have. Don't get me wrong. Money is great. We love it. We want it. But do not chase money at the expense of your purpose and your passion. Because then you might have the money, but then you're going to be incredibly miserable.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason, and another reason why I say them, people must really make sure that being a lecturer is what they want, because it's not all glamorous. It's really not. It's not always nice. It's not always easy. It's not always roses and sunshine. There is a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. I'm going to give a little bit of an example. So I've been assigned certain modules for the academic year of 2025. Right now it is October. Okay, I can basically say October has already come to an end. My
Yeah.
November and my December, I need to be working on creating content, like teaching material. I need to put together study guides for my modules. I need to put together assessment plans. It is October 2024, but I need to be thinking ahead to July 2025, what the assignment in July 2025 is going to look like already right now. In addition to all of that, I am marking. I have hundreds of scripts to get through, and then exam season is also going to be coming to an end. There's also marking involved there. In addition to that, I have to focus on my PhD. I need to be submitting because my supervisor, unyaka this, unyaka that, unyaka this, unyaka that. You understand? And then on top of all of that, there's also admin, you know, for things to work properly in the faculty, for there to be clear communication between ourselves as academics and, you know, our support staff colleagues, people at student admin and all of that. There is a lot happening all at once. And if it isn't truly something that you want for yourself,
That you
it's
like,
very
yeah.
easy to get buried into it, to get miserable, you know, to just get disheartened. So making sure that it's what you want is the first step. Number two, stamina, like I said earlier on. You must have the stamina for research. You must have stamina for research. You must know what you are capable of sitting for hours on end, reading, writing, analyzing, thinking, criticizing. You must know that you have that in you because it is literally what your life is going to look like forever and ever.
Wow.
Are you still there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know when
I
I
can
keep
hear you.
disconnecting? Okay. And then the last thing that I would say is be patient with yourself. Um it might feel ukare, you know, there's this pressure around oh my word, I need to get my life together. I need to get my first class, my research
Yes.
department,
Yes.
all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Stadig. Pump the brakes a little bit. There is absolutely no rush. We are young, we are black, we are beautiful, we have time, we are intelligent, we were made for this. Do not rush yourself in any way whatsoever. You might feel like, oh my word, I'm only doing my master's now, I don't have a stable source of income. Fine, then apply for funding for that master's. Just make sure that you finish it. Then after the masters, you might feel, okay, yo, now I have a master's, but I still don't have job offers. It's fine, calm down. Apply for research opportunities. Universities are always looking for researchers. If you are a researcher in the private law department, next year when someone goes on maternity leave or next year when someone resigns, you are the closest person that the faculty has to consider for filling that particular vacancy. So apply for
Mm-hmm.
research, apply for tutoring positions, um, apply for other qualifications if you can. Find ways to cement yourself within the academic space. If you know that you want to be a lecturer, do not do anything that is going to remove you too much from the academic space or from universities. So that even in an interview, you are able to explain, well, okay, there is a bit of a gap in my employment, but in the time, even when I was still looking for employment, this is the work that I was doing
I
within
was doing,
the
yes.
university. I was tutoring, I was still doing research, I was mentoring research students, things like that. So don't ever remove yourself from the academic space if you know that this is truly the career that you want for yourself.
Mm. No, I absolutely love that. You know what? I'm going to watch this again because you shared so much. And I'm like, this information right here, this is golden. Like, this is so necessary. And I think that, what a lot of people lack is the knowing what is required in certain spaces. You might see somebody and you're like, you know what? I like how, you know, I like how Lerato is doing her work and things like that, but you don't know the behind the scenes. You don't know the types of pages she follows. You'll be thinking like, she was here at this conference, she was doing this, she was going here. Like, how does she, how does she get to do all those things? So this, session was absolutely packed with gems. And I thank you so, so much for your availing yourself and just sharing this amazing knowledge with me and the rest of my subscribers, everybody who is watching. I'm truly grateful for this interview. Thank you so, so much. So if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Drop down to the comment section, leave a comment or a question, and we will get back to you. Subscribe to the channel so the family can grow, and share this episode with somebody who you know could use this information. So until my next one, I'm sending you tons of love and light. Bye.